Hello, everyone, and welcome to War Tactics. Today, we're going to talk about who the biggest and who the baddest is. Who is the biggest, meanest, greenest orcs there is in our new index. Whoa. All right. So we're just going to go through the tier list from the bottom of it from left to right, pretty much. So we're going to just automatically start with Captain Badrock. So Captain Badrock is actually interesting nowadays, right? So before he used to be kind of like a joke. He was Captain Badrock and he was too expensive, even though he had pretty cool guns with the Ripple gun. And it's still a good gun. But now he can be abused because the flash gets can be used. Would I advise it? Yeah. If you really want to use the flash gets and get the most out of them, that one turn when they do jump out of the transport that you choose to put them in, he will throttle them the way you need them to be throttled. The flash gets are surprisingly multi-purpose in an efficient way because they actually have choppas that still have -1 AP on them. That is new. That is flavorful because the models actually have a really cool choppa on them. So great job, GW. So yeah, Captain Badrock. As for how good he is, that'll come into play with how good flash gets are to an extent, right? So I put him. Let's start off being kind of cautious. Put him B, low, high B right there. Just put him in the B for now category. We're not gonna go from highest to lowest yet within the categories. We're just going to just put them in there, and then at the end we'll organize them instead, right?
Yeah, for his points value, gain reroll hits. This is a good place to start off.
Well, you need him to throttle the flash gets because their points value isn't horrible anymore. I wouldn't say it's gentle, but it's good. You can play it. So yeah, as long as you're, in my opinion, willing to play for the battle wagon too. You want that durability, and I would also personally include the mech in that combo. But we'll talk about that later. So actually, talk about that continuously. The next one is the battle wagon. Now the battle wagon itself is just flat out an amazing transport, and it has free war gear, absolutely free. One of those war gear beasts being the death roller with 6 attacks, a strength 9 with -1, 2 damage. That's just awesome. The fact that it has a melee weapon, it has guns on it now. It can be shot out of. You put the flash gets in them or some burner boys. Boom, that guy is awesome. He moves up the field with decent speed. He can become even more durable, like a land raider at T12. So all about it, even with his new point increase, because all of the options he gets with war gear and just his multi-purpose use. Most orc lists have at least one of these. And if they don't, it's because they're supplemented in a different way. So I'm going to just go ahead and put him in S tier. As for internally what the index is, he also has the reduce AP by 1. Come on now. Reduce AP by 1 as being that tough already when some of the some of the anti-tank weapons have gone down to AP 2. So, yeah.
Yeah, on top of all that, transports in general are just that much better. I agree with this S tier ranking.
Yep. Just perfect for the meta in the game. Great job. And then we have the Beast Boss on Squigosaur. So Beast Boss on Squigosaur is freaking awesome. He can be given Head Wappa's Kill Choppa. He gives great buffs and an aura. He's not overly priced, but he is a little pricey. But that's because he's so durable. He comes with a 5-up invuln and a 4-up feel no pain. Yes, a 4-up feel no pain. He gets almost as many traits as he used to get with the stratagem being used on him to give him relics and warlord traits, right? So that was just such a nice increase since he's going to be a lone operative and he's going to be able to be isolated and killed by himself. I'm going to go ahead and throw him up in A tier. I think that's fair. I mean, we can keep going on this, but he is good at killing vehicles, but he's not superb at killing vehicles. That's why I'm hesitant to put him in S tier, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good spot. You know, for a melee army, rerolling charge rolls is always important. Giving that aura to beast snaggers if they're in your list. This makes sense.
Yeah, it is, and I just didn't put him in S tier because he doesn't have a 4-up info, and I feel like a 5-up is a little scary, and yeah, that's one of the main reasons, and he's not as killing against vehicles as I'd like him to be. So talking about killing vehicles and such, here we go, the Beast Boss. So the Beast Boss himself, he's like a pseudo war boss and a big war boss and mech armor kind of put into one, but he doesn't have the toughness of a war boss and mega armor, which is something I don't like. He does have 2 profiles, so he can be used against a group of infantry or really against vehicles. He gets more killy against vehicles during the WAAAGH. He's someone you would want to put into a blob of beast snagger boys, because beast snagger boys can't get a whole bunch of options, and the one that makes sense is to give them a +1 to hit and someone that helps them take down vehicles. So somewhere I would put War Boss, Beast Boss. The couple things I don't like about him though is he does have that 4-up armor. He isn't actually great in my opinion at killing the vehicles. He's good, but he's not great, right? Let's look at his profile. He is anti-4 on monster, anti-4 on vehicle with the 6 attacks. 6 attacks at night. On the WAAAGH, he'll get 7. Hitting on 2s, and then strength 6 -1 2 attacks. So that's against V. That's more of against like maybe help finishing something off, or maybe a light armored vehicle that doesn't need all the AP to go through it. So, but really the one that's supposed to be his big hitting one, his claw, since he gets to choose between his beast chopper and his claw, is the -4 attacks, but hitting on 3s though, yeah, he gives the unit a +1, so that's okay. Strength 10, -2, 2 damage. So that's good for you're gonna go in there and wound maybe like let's see, not a gladiator, excuse me, maybe a land speeder or a dreadnought. But how it's gonna go, it's gonna be wounding a lot of things still on 5s. He does get devastating wounds during the WAAAGH. He's not exactly where I'd like him to be, right? He doesn't get and he's not bad either. I'm actually gonna put him into A tier. So I'm gonna just keep him there for now. You know, I'm open to suggestions from the chat and continue talking, but right now I'm feeling him there. If we can I like to double look at his points to make sure I'm not tripping out on how many points he is, make sure he's not overcosted. But the beast boss is 80 points. That's only 10 more points than the war boss. So that's not bad at all. You're gonna want him in there pretty often though, whenever you're running these blobs. So I'm gonna keep him in A tier. None of the orc characters are really that bad. They're not super great, but they're not that bad. So from there, we're just gonna follow up with his lads, his boys. He's gonna get in there with the Beast Snagger boys. Beast Snagger boys, frontline unit. Overall, they got a nice glow up for the fact that they got a 6-up feel no pain now. They got their armor increased in the meta where everything went up in strength. The fact that they're sitting at a base strength 5 is really nice. During the while, they're gonna get up to that strength 6. That being said, with how killy everything is, and just with them kind of being capped out at strength 5, not getting more than one way to get like +2 at strength like they used to, right? You used to be able to stack offs and the one on them to get them up to strength 7. That was nice. You can really throttle on light armor and such. Here, you actually have a real issue if you're trying to fight vehicles with strength 5, since a very common number for at the threshold of what is considered a durable vehicle is toughness 10, right? So you really get one turn of can these beast snaggers go on there and kill it, and if not, you're really just relying on that beast boss to kill them. As for a frontline unit, they're very good. They're in the internal. Remember, this is an internal codex. I'm still going to put them into A tier as an internal codex because in this codex they're good. As an overall, as a frontline unit, as an overall, I still wouldn't put them everywhere on my list, but they're going to sneak up into A tier for now for me, along with that beast boss. And then from there we have the Big Mac with the KFF. He's nice. They did give him a couple buffs. He does get the force field to give them an invul of a 5-up at range. He can throttle that to a 4-up and really put a nice durability cap on them. And also, he's not that expensive. I like how his points are up. The fact that you put him in a group of boys and you can double stack durability traits with boys by including him, and he's not gouging you on price. He's not hurting your pocket. The beast mech is actually sitting at what point is he sitting at? To be exact, sorry, I call him beast mech. The big mech is sitting at 65 points. So he is only 5 points less than a war boss. But even with all that being said, I am going to stick him into B tier. He's not someone you're going to put on every list. He's not even going to be someone that's going to come first up on your list. But if you're dealing with the really shooty meta, maybe the terrain you use at home and you're familiar with has some kind of open gaps in it and some spaces where you can't really hide, or you're going to be running a lot of boys, I could consider you bringing him. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in B tier. He's totally playable. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, David, from his data sheet while you're looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, for his points cost, he's reasonable, but we're gonna see that there's a lot of options at HQ in this index. and I think he's not going to make most lists unless
Exactly.
oversaturated with too many characters.
Yes, and so I've seen lists people go with 4, right? I've seen 3-on-3 beast bosses, and hordes. I've seen multiple war bosses for the B boys wanting them or some knobs wanting them. So maybe someone wants some diversity and they're still willing to have a bunch of characters, but they're not going to spam them, right? Maybe you don't have that many of those models. Then you'll start considering putting them in, or like I said, in certain metas or matchups. So we're gonna move on to the Big Mech in Mega Armor. This guy's great. He can heal the Mega Knobs he's gonna be with. He can bring one back to life that he's gonna be with. He will be giving them +1 to hit on their guns. You don't mind the extra firepower, but that's not what you're really bringing him for. He himself is T6 with a 2-up armor save. He has 5 wounds. I'd love to see him with 6, but 5 is cool too. I mean, he went up. He used to have 4 possibly. So yeah, he's someone that you're gonna see in a lot of units where they have a list where they're using a lot of Mega Knobs, and they want to have multiple Mega Knob units that are buffed by characters. Maybe one Mega Knob unit that has gases for taking out the enemy Death Star, and the other one is for holding up line and really standing there and killing the enemy and not going away right away because they keep coming back or they're the first ones up the field. I'm gonna just put him into S tier. As in for the internally in the Orc Codex, I can see him getting on a lot of lists because a lot of people are in love with Mega Knobs, as you're going to see.
Right, Mega Knobs are bringing a lot of value, and this Big Mech, plugging him into that unit, he's providing a lot of different buffs. He's going to just get you more out of that huge investment in the Mega Knobs.
He is 100 points though, and for 6 Mega Knobs, it's also 200 points. So I could see where you choose not to bring them, but as for characters internally in the Codex, how you're going to bring them, and some lists I've seen him, people are looking to bring him for that consistent, durable Mega Knob unit. So I'm still going to keep him up there, but I understand why some people might be hesitant as to, hey, I could just bring half of another Mega Knob unit, at least points wise, right? I know it doesn't work like that in the actual index. Now we're going to move on to the Big Mech with shock attack guns. Some things I like about this guy is that he can be right off the bat. You can put him in a unit of mech guns and give the mech guns reroll 1s to hit. Right? He's also not too pricey at 75 points. But David, you can talk about his dash sheet a bit.
Yeah, like you said, he's gonna be buffing your mech suits. You give them the reroll. He rolls a 1, which makes your shooting that much more reliable.
What's his gun like? Actually, is that gonna be a threat?
Oh, yeah, his gun. Well, you're looking at 60-inch D6 +1 attacks, at strength 9, -4 and D6 damage. A good anti-vehicle option.
It has the AP that you wish other anti-vehicle weapons had, right? -4, that beautiful, beautiful number. If a vehicle has a 2-up armor save and it has like cover, this guy can still help, right? With alongside those mech guns. So him being 75 points, the mech guns being 135 for 3 of them. I could definitely see, depending on, like I said, the terrain you're using at home, maybe you want to hold a back line and you really don't want to be indirect, right? There's so much indirect that if you're just relying on grots to hold your home side of the field, they can come in a deep strike on you too easy after they clear that little grot unit off with indirect. The grot mech guns can act as maybe that corner screening unit and taking that angle on the mid angle of the board. So yeah, I can totally see them bringing him, but I'm still going to be hesitant to putting him in because those points, as you can see in Orcs in general, can be put in a bunch of other places. So it's not that I'm putting him down. I wanted to just talk about how cool I can see why people bring him, depending on what your list is. But internally in the Codex, between all the other character lineup, I'm still going to sit him probably in B tier, right? At least for now. He might be even maybe even D tier, but he's okay at C tier. B tier right now. I'm not mad at that.
All right, we got our first fortification over here.
This is S tier because I said so. S tier. If enough of you guys believe it's S tier, it will become S tier, regardless of what GW does to us, regardless to how much it doesn't take us, how much space it takes on the table and doesn't actually fit, regardless of the fact that it's not going to help. Put it in S tier right now. I'm just kidding. It doesn't go in S tier. You know what to do. You know what to do. Just put it in where it goes. Go away, please. Okay. Sorry.
This just isn't the edition for
hey, we don't know the future, but we're hopeful lads, and we're not gonna worry too much about it. There you go. Hi. Let's move on to the next battle line unit. So boys, they're the one unit, right? The mob that is gonna take 2 characters possibly. You can double stack these defensive buffs on them. Maybe you just know that you're gonna just have only one turn of running into tight corners, into the open, because you kind of work in heavy terrain at your home field turf, and you know that you're going to have to run around corners and take someone out. Maybe you just want 2 turns of 2 different buffs, maybe a fall back and charge with Mad Doc and a Feel No Pain and then a War Boss. You can mix it up that way that your unit is actually diverse. As for their actual strength, though, being at a base strength 4 for most of the game, I really have a problem with that personally. I don't like it. Like I said, I really missed the 2 ways to give us extra strength before, between being Govs and being the WAAAGH. If there was another way for us to get that, I understand people are saying you could put the knob with the banner in there, right? So that's also an option too. Give them another WAAAGH in there, get them up to the similar strength to the Beast Boss, the Snag Beast Snaggers. But at that point, it's almost like you're trying to get them up to the strength of the Beast Snaggers by you taking up the point difference with them, and you're not getting the Feel No Pain involved, unless you're now committing to putting the Mad Doc in there or the Pain Boy now in there. And then it's just, you're kind of making an expensive unit that's a mob, when really, I personally think usually one character is good for these kind of mobs. So that's why Beast Snaggers kind of work a little better, and I'm gonna probably stick boys into B tier. Not bad though. You can use them, but I'm gonna stick them into B tier just because Beast Snaggers are just a better mob unit that you don't have to saturate with too many points. You just put the Beast Boss in there. Very cool. So yeah, I'm gonna stay with that. There are a couple of nice things that now that'll war gear is free. The orcs can get guns on this unit, but considering usually advancing around the field, it's not that amazing all the time, right? And your ballistic skill.
Yeah, it was a little close for me between the 2 battle line units, just because the versatility the boys do add in. With the 2, you can combine the 2 characters, get some buffs, give them some interesting things, depending what role they're playing in your list. And they're only, depending on what character, 20, 30 points more than the Beast Snagger boys. So I can see him again taking a lot.
For sure. If you have them at home and you don't feel like being WYSIWYG, you don't paint them up, just use them anyways, as long as you know that those are the differences, right? And you're willing to play around that. So do you guys. Remember, this is all about having fun, right? If you're talking about motion efficiency, though, we can go into that too. Now we're going to talk about the Burner Boys. The Burner Boys got such a nice go up. I'm a fan of those data sheets. I'm a fan of the AP in combat, even though it is only 2 attacks, is just because they also already reroll wounds. So you sitting there rerolling wounds, being able to follow up with the charge with some AP, and then maybe you get more attacks on the wall from them. That's cool. They're nice for giving Overwatch when you're in a vehicle. They make up for the lack of a ballistic skill on the orc, and they're not too overpriced.
Yeah, Flamer's at 65 points for a 5-man. Even though you do have to take a spanner unit, still I'll take those 4 flamers for that point value.
Yeah, the fact that this nice you bring up the spanner. The spanner actually has kind of good guns, and the fact that the free war gear is really nice. So don't hate it just because you have to bring them. So yeah, excuse me. So I'm all into them internally in the Orc Codex. Oh, how many points are we sitting here with these burners again? 65 for 5?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the unit max size? Only 10?
Yeah, 10.
Okay.
Was that 3 span, I believe, or 2?
2, I believe, right? Is it? Oh no. It says the max size is 12 burner boys, and then you have 3 spanner boys, so it's 15. So the fact that you can make them a pretty big unit, I mean, maybe that's 200 points. For 65 points,
Yeah, you put them in a vehicle.
I'm still gonna put them in A tier. I mean, I'm still gonna put them in A tier. That's just how I feel about them. I was just making sure I wasn't missing anything, but yeah, they're gonna go into A tier for me. In certain, some matchups are just gonna be so useful to you. You're gonna really appreciate that, right? So, yeah, I'm all about that. Flamers make up for the fact that we can't really see that well, huh?
What's up, 30 Clean? Thanks for joining us.
Oh wow, I'm impressed, dude. I don't know how you've seen us, but thanks for joining us. Hello. Now let's move on to no one commit. Are they feeling our WAAAGH energy reverberating? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Gotta hold it back in before my head blows up. Okay, so let's talk about the Def Dreads. I personally love Def Dreads. You'll see them on our channel banner. They're one of the only places you're gonna get flat damage 3 in our index right now. They did get a glow up. They move faster. They have a 2-up armor save. They got the nice T9 that a lot of other vehicles got. They sit at 8 wounds though. I'm not in love with them because their points are 150 and they can't be taken in mobs anymore. So I personally like using mobs of these guys before for fun, and because you can get a lot of them on a list if you really choose to thematically play that way. Maybe later there'll be a detachment for them, but as for right now, I'm not in love with them just because of that, right? I do love that they can advance and charge now, don't get me wrong. But I'm gonna still stick them into C tier just because their opposition, maybe internally in the codex, I would rather just pay some extra points and get more than double the wound. So I'm gonna go C tier for these guys.
Yeah, they could have been taken in 3s like they used to.
Maybe
just having that many amount of wounds in one unit was really
no. They weren't one unit. They would separate. They'd start as one unit, they deploy at one unit, and then they would separate into individual models. It was just nice. So you can get a lot of them on the table at once. And then we're going to say the mech guns. I already kind of revealed I really do like them. And they're saying I'm loud, by the way, and that you're a little low, just so you know. So making sure you speak loud into the mic or get close or not muted. The mech guns. I'm thinking the mech guns, 135 points, 3 of them. Yeah, even without buffs, they're still great. I'm still going to stick them into A tier. I think it just depends on what terrain you have, if you're willing to stick them in there, and if you're willing to understand that they're not really going to move that much because they only move 3 inches. So I am going to stick mech guns into A tier. You can go ahead and do that for me. Yeah. I know, unless you resist the mech guns, unless you want to pull up their profile. Actually, let's pull up their profile if you don't mind for me very quickly. Because the mech guns, you have the smasher guns. I'm just putting them in there because we're going to talk about them more, but I'm just not going to hide my cards. I still think internally in the index, they can still be considered A tier for just one unit for that price, meaning set back there, hold the area, screen out 9 inches, not be too scared of indirect, and do its thing. So they have a 5-up armor save. I would have liked to see them with the 4-up, but they do have 6 wounds with the T5. So other indirect weapons, some of them like a mortars or the desolators are only strength 4, winning them on 5s. So yeah, that's not terrible. They get the David's favorite rule with them. They have the. I'm not a fan of the Bubba Chuckas, so I mean, if you like to use them, it's too random and not really great at doing anything to a certain extent. It's random as in like the amount of shots and not reliable in that kind of way, and because you're kind of like, hey, which one do I want to do? I'm not sure. I'm just going to stick to the ones that I personally think is good, which is a custom Mega Blaster. It's 36 inches for that profile. Pretty great. It hits on 4s, D6 shots. It is hazardous. It is blast, -2, strength 12, D6 damage. So this guy right here, very good against anti-vehicle, right? That's fantastic. It does have enough range to actually threaten things. But if you want that extra range, I'd go with the Smasher Gun. It does have less shots, really. It's D3, and it's not hazardous. That's the difference, the trade-off. I'm personally most like just going with mega cannons, right? Custom mega cannons are D6. You can get more out of it when they do pop off. And just the difference is the Smasher Gun is -3 with flat 3 damage, but it sits at strength 12. So you are giving away the volume and the strength for more reliable AP and more reliable damage. So, but I'm still personally going with the custom mega cannon. I don't know about you, David. What do you think? And your favorite splat rule?
Yeah, I'd say that one's just the most adds the most to an orc list. Mm-hmm. The custom mega cannon is your favorite?
Yeah, I like the strength. I really do like that strength. You see a lot of orc characters or units aren't even really getting up to strength 12 or beyond that. So you have that in that mech gun for a pretty cheap package. And with the threat saturation of everything else on the field between trucks, battle wagons, maybe other durable vehicles, you're most likely not going to be shot at with your mech guns. And if you are, it's a 135-point trade. Really hard with the dispersal of wounds because they're spread between 3 different models, that even if they choose to try to take those out, they're probably going to take 1 out, maybe 2. So, yeah, I mean, it's worth it. They're not going to get their points returned for trying to kill them. So, mech guns all the way. I definitely do like them and see they're going to be pretty obvious, common. Wouldn't be surprised if they ended up a little higher on the list, but because I'm only thinking 1 unit on the list, I'm going to keep them in A tier. Then we have the Death Killer Wartrike. So Death Killer Wartrike is a little chunky, as in wounds. I think he goes up to wounds 9, but he isn't. He's only T6, which is hilarious for how gigantic he is. His giant base makes it so you can get into contact with a bunch of bikers if you choose to be that kind of pressure player. His profile is lacking for the amount of attacks, though. I don't love the amount of attacks he gets, even though his guns can be seen as useful. Useful flexibility. It's just that I don't like it because I'd like for him to come in and punch hard, considering that the unit he's attached to doesn't punch that hard. So I'm going to have a hard time putting him any higher than B tier, and he might even end up at C tier. Luckily, he's not too expensive. How many points is he? 85, I believe. Can we look? I'm going to look up his points right now. Death Killer Wartrike. He's 90 points. So there's a chance he might drop it. I mean, I might C tier.
B for now.
B, you think?
Running a lot of bikes right now. We can.
Okay. Well, we can reevaluate.
Bottom.
Okay, me and David are gonna. I'll let David put him in B for now because I'm not crazy about it. But I would also say he could be C. I mean, just saying. When you look at all the other characters, you're gonna bring in everything else. And you want someone that's gonna kill. He lacks at either killing or shooting. The one thing he does is put a lot of pressure. He does have a feel no pain, I believe, as well. Does he? If that's on his sheet. His durability could be, or maybe you're going to pay for that. I just don't see me paying for the points for him, and not just he costs more than an entire unit of more bikes. And wound dispersal is already very useful in the defense in itself, to an extent. So does he have a feel no pain in his data sheet?
He's got just an invul, 5-up invul. 9 wounds.
Yeah, he has just a 5-up info. So no, like I said before, it's just I'm still thinking C, but B is all right if Dave wants to keep him there.
I think it's just another source of advance and charge, and since the WAAAGH only lasts 1 turn now. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just an auto advance.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't think he did advance and charge. Yeah, that's very rare. The only person that does that, is I'll make sure to make clear, is the banner guy. Yeah. So I would leave him at B if he wants to for now, but C probably. Yeah, I'm gonna put him at C.
That was the main reason I was thinking.
Oh, you were thinking he had that? No, never.
Yeah,
it's okay. And we had him. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, and then let's put a Death Killer Wartrike. I'm sorry, Death Copters. We're talking about that. We just talking about Death Killer Wartrike. So Death Copters lost Ramshackle. They're not as durable as they used to be. They don't get as much attacks as they used to. They just overall got hurt a little bit by everything. They're still a bit pricey. The fly keyword is now not as powerful anymore. So with all that being said, I don't love them. I feel like there's some of the losers in the index right now, even though I have mine and they're painted and they're cool. I'm gonna go ahead and put them into C tier. I'm gonna put them into C tier. I'm not gonna worry too hard about that, but yeah, put them into C tier. And do you think any different?
No, if they had a few more shots, I could see justifying
or old attacks maybe.
Yes, just more volume in any direction.
And their ability of flying over you and dropping bombs. I mean, it's so cute, but it's not going to win you the game or really be a reliable strategy. So, yeah, I definitely think C is fair. As for the shock jump, shock jump dragster. Sorry, tongue twister there. The shock jump dragster. He almost has like a mirror profile of what he used to have. I think he does. I'm not sure does he still teleport on the battlefield off the top of my head?
Yes, he does.
Okay, I was making sure. Yeah, he has like a mirror profile.
He's gotta be.
Yeah, I was making sure. Well, his gun also is still pretty decent. I like him. He's serviceable to a certain extent, but he's not as cheap maybe as I'd want him to be.
Yeah, it's hard even justifying getting 85 one on the list.
Yeah,
the other ones are slightly cheaper,
and they're better. Some of the other buggies are better, so I'm gonna keep them into C tier. Just kick them down in the C tier. I don't want B tier to be too saturated. When honestly, I don't think he's gonna make a list over other buggies. So C tier it is. And then we have the flash gits. So internally for shooting profile in the army and the points they have now, flash gits are definitely serviceable. They're operable. They can be played. They still are an expensive package because you are putting them in a battle wagon. You probably are paying for Captain Badrock. And if you're me, and I really want to use them, I am using the Big Mech. The Big Mech's going to just help to also battle wagon as well, because the battle wagon might want to run in there and fight, so it can get 1+1 hit. So overall, the package, you're just talking about the usability of the package, but you're not really going to put flash kits on their own to walk up the field with 24-inch range, right? They do only have -1 AP. If they were -2 AP, I could consider putting them a little higher, but I think I'm going to keep them at B tier with Captain Badrook at high B tier, maybe A tier if we go back through this when we look at everything else in B tier. I'm just going to be cautious and put them into B tier right now, because I think even if you're running 20 of these, you're not like going to win the game because of them. That one turn they come out though, they can just blast something. Oh, yeah. So you just have to hope it's the right thing.
Yeah, they got that volume. If you're shooting at the closest enemy unit, that's that extra shot. The re-rolls just makes their shots even more accurate. That's something like you keep bringing back. We're grading these relative to the index in its whole. That is something that you don't see in anywhere else in the index. So they do provide a nice tool to have.
It is. And for the price of 190, you're about a 6 Meganob price, is what I'm saying though. So when it comes to the overall strategy of the army, I'm just saying one unit of them is good at high B tier, but they could be argued for A tier. I'm just going to keep them there now, and we're going to go back. So that's why I'm just punching through these, because once we have them all on here, we're going to know better where everything is. All right. Gaz. So Gaz, we all know and love Gaz. I like where he's at. I like that he's infantry, even though he's a ridiculously sized model, and he's going to be weird running through buildings like that, like the Kool-Aid man. But it's a benefit for us. And the fact that he's not the price of Gilliman, but he can still punch up on Gilliman and people like that, I like it. He gives direct threats to these other terrifying Death Stars that there are. His AP helps overcome these nice armor saves. He gives a 12-inch aura, so he's still a support character to an extent. Not amazing, but he does have a 12-inch aura to buff. So I'm still going to keep him at S tier. Most good lists are going to be better off with Gaz. Unless the rest of it doesn't fit the theme and you need more bodies, etc. But as a whole, in all, I would put Gaz up there into S tier, because when you look at everything else in the meta, you're going to need something with a 2-up invul sometimes, or you're going to need something ready to kill. So we got a chat, and it says, when are you going to rank the Stomper? Okay, I mean, we can just throw him right now. Let's stomp up. Chad's asking. Let's just throw Stomp up right now, because I like the Stomper. He did go back up to 800 points. I'm not a fan of that. He is 800 points. On one of our other streams, we went over Knights as opponents to the Orks, and they're terrifying what the Knights get for 500 points. So for 800 points, I still think he's a bit overpriced.
You can of course get 3 Titanic Knights for his price.
Yeah, GW doesn't want to have Orc players just putting a bunch of these guys on the tables and bullying everybody. I guess. All right, GW. He's still playable to an extent. If you're going to go on Space Marines and they're just going to oath you, then no. But if you want to play with your friend and let them know what you're doing, he's serviceable. And if you give him a mech, you can surprise people. He's going to hit him on 4s with guns. As he moves up the field, the mech will jump out and give him a +1 to hit and still be a lone operative. So that's pretty awesome. He's going to be coming up there with some super devastating ranged weapons, and
you don't want to see him in melee either.
I ended up getting out of here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was going to look at it. He does horrific damage. He has some very long range weapons. He is going to be looking through buildings and terrains. He's just awesome for that, and he's a very large model. As you can see, he's still in the picture like my small child. So I love that. He has a 3d6 72-inch def cannon that is to hitting on 5s, but you'll be hitting on 4s. The strength 14 -3 d6 damage. So of course, with the randomness of Orks, that guy could end up not doing enough for the most part. That's pretty terrifying for fun. The super Gatling is sustained hits 1 with 20 shots at 7 strength -1 2 damage. That's really fun for just mass amount of shots. And if you're hitting on 4s, you can actually rely on putting extra damage into something. The super rockets are range 100 with d6 attacks. Strength 12 -3 d6 +2. That's something you would need for really these other night matchups or some reliable damage to pop a land raider or something. He is a transport. Don't forget that. He gives +1 to the battle shock test to people within 12 inches. That's fun. He's a giant model, so he really does cover like a quarter of the center, the quarter of the battlefield sometimes where he is at. It's hilarious. He has his mega strike, his mega choppa strike. That is 6 attacks. Pretty nice. And remember, mech can make him hit on 2s. 24, strength 24. Strength, eat your heart out. Nice. Strength 24. -5. Damage 10. Okay, knights do have these AP. I mean, these these knights do have these invulns, but they're not to melee. So if you do really feel like taking out a knight, as long as you can get there, don't get it annihilated at them right now because they're kind of overpriced, underpriced right now. The knights, he does do what the label says. He just costs a little bit too much, and you can't just put too many of them on the table enough to play the game competitively. So I'm gonna keep them at C tier. That doesn't mean I don't love them. I'm just gonna put them up there. So the Stompa is going to go ahead and go into C tier. And that's just because for the price he is, you can bring Gork and Mork, and you can bring multiple of them.
Right. Yeah, that's half your list there.
And we're talking about Gork and Mork now because they just actually popped up right there on the list. So right there, we're going to talk about Mork first. So the Morkanaut is sitting at 305 points, I believe. Let me look. Yep. He's at 305 points. He has a pretty good profile overall. He's a 20 wounds with T12. He doesn't have a 2-up armor save, from what I remember. We're going to pull up his data sheet here too. He is a transport, and now he's a 12 capacity transport, you guys. Okay, I know at first you're like, well, why would you want to transport? I'm just saying, if you do choose to bring 12, it's much better than what it used to be at 6. Because before it was like, why are you making me a transport? You're not even really transporting anything. But now he's a transport of 6. He does devastating damage in melee as he can get up to 6 damage in melee. Dave, were you going to say something about his data sheet? We're pulling it up. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so the Morkanaut, and 305 points for what he is. He is the shooting variant. He also has a 5-up invuln. That is just a constant 5 invuln. It doesn't just say at range, from what I remember. I'm going to keep looking for it, or looking at it, but he doesn't say just that range. Like, he's just ready to try to survive with that high toughness. Okay. Are we pulling up that data sheet though? That's what we were trying to pull up right now. Okay. So with the Morkanaut, he has 3 attack at the custom blasta, 24 inches. Mind you, his range is a little stuffy. I don't love his range, but he does move 8 inches, right? So he has 3 attacks, strength 9, -2, d6 damage for his custom Mega Blasta. It is hazardous. Be wary. The custom Mega Zappa is 36 inches, d6 +3. So some reliably on a couple more shots reliably. Strength 10, -2, d6 damage. So it reaches that threshold of 10 strength, which is really what you want. And it has 36-inch range. So it's not sitting there with that stuffy 24-inch range. It does have rocket launches on it, D3. As for the amount, it has 2 rocket launchers on it. So you're getting 2 D3 shots off this guy at strength 9, -2, flat 3 damage. And then he has multiple big shooters, which would be 2. Strength 5, no AP. And now big shooters are only 18-inch range, but they have a built-in rapid fire and twin rapid fire 2 and twin linked. As for his strikes, he gets 4 attacks, strength 18, -3, d6 damage. Really like that -3, and that, flat 6 damage, like I said before. His sweeps, I would like to see a little bit more attacks in sweeps, but he is the shooting variant, like I said, and he does have just a straight up 5-up invuln all time. And he does get +1 to the hit roll on the turn of the WAAAGH as well. Don't forget that. So he gets an overall +1 to hit for ranged weapons. Sorry. He gets a +1 to hit for his ranged weapon on the turn of the WAAAGH as well. And if you have the mech will be healing him. I'm going to put him into B tier, personally. So I do like him. He's at 305 points with all the, maybe Eldari Lances or actually, that's what he wanted right there. Was it working out? Sorry about that. And the Eldari Lances and the Space Marine Oaths, and just to kind of meta is going to be anti-vehicle, they might just be able to handle him, David, unless you think he should be higher than B tier or lower.
I think B tier is appropriate. He's a third of the points, and his profile is comparable to the Stompa. I mean, the Stompa is going to get you a little,
Well, the Stompa
a little better, but he's a third of the points, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the point. Yeah. You can get multiple of these guys on the field, right? And then the enemy can't just isolate and kill him. The Stomp is only 10 more wounds than this guy, even though he's more toughness. It's just he's only 10 more. Is the Stomp 14 toughness though? Is that what we were looking at before?
I believe so.
Yeah, so he is more, but remember we're talking about body. You still have to play the game, so we're just talking about playability for real. He's more gonna much better. We'll move on to the Gorkanaut. The Gorkanaut is the more melee orientated version. This guy does only have a 6-up invuln though, and he is cheaper though. He is cheaper. He has the Death Storm Mega Cannon with rapid fire 10 with 20 shots base at 36-inch range. It's 6 shot, strength 6 -1, 1 damage. He doesn't have rocket launchers as well for the same profile as strength 9 -2, 3 damage. He gets a flamethrower on him since he's going to be more kind of in combat, and he gets multiple big shooters as well. He still has the flat 6 damage and the same sweep attack, but he gets up to 15 for his sweep and 5 for his base. So he's slightly more melee oriented and kind of right in the pocket with the enemy. He does get +1 to hit during the WAAAGH, but he's for melee, right? So Mork is for range, Gork is for melee during the WAAAGH, which one they get +1 to hit. So you're not gonna have a bunch of mechs, right? If you're running multiple of these guys, you know which ones are gonna get what kind of buffs, and with the mech, who should follow who for what kind of buffs you need to sit in turns. With that being said, he is under 300 points, but I am gonna keep him at B tier for that. Even though I'm not in love with him, I like the Morkanaut better. I like the 5-up invuln better, and I like the guns at range. And I'll take those nice guns that are gonna play more often and more turns, and his melee profile than just someone who has a kind of middling anti-vehicle, infantry range profile. Excuse me.
All right, now I'll help you out with this one, but you can keep talking about him.
So David wants to put him in. You think Gretchen should be S tier?
For their points, the CP farming. If you want to get fun with it, there's a character combination you could run. And then mainly for the points of the CP farming.
They aren't battle line anymore.
Well, with the strats that you want to be using as an orc player, again, I'm going to emphasize on that CP farming.
Yeah, you're right. I'll leave them in S tier. Just because you know that they're going to go on every single orc list.
I can put them here.
Sure. As for direct power and everything, yeah, they're not amazing. But we're talking about ending up on every single orc list. Yeah. 30 Clean replied, that's hot. Okay, 30 Clean, that is hot, huh?
That grot is hot.
That grot is hot. All right, so just what they're gonna end up on every orc list. How you want to use them is up to you. If you just want to eat them, that's up to you too. I don't mind it, but they're gonna go right there in that spot. Now we're gonna move on to Mad Doc Grotznick. I like his profile. I really do. He's given the feel no pain. He's actually cheaper than a regular pain boy, and he gives you the ability to fall back and charge. So if your mob happens to stay alive, let's say you did stack two different kind of durabilities, or you called the WAAAGH, you have a 5-up invuln, a 5-up feel no pain, and then he's there as well. Let's say someone wants to tag you with a rhino, someone trying to slow you down, really bother you because they see that coming and they don't want you to get there with the rest of your WAAAGH at the same time. Well, this guy can allow you to fall back and charge with that mob of boys. So that mob of boys can have continuous momentum. We understand that with the new combat, you have to get base to base with the model is base to base. So it's harder to get all the boys up into fight, as many as you need to actually be threatening, right? This guy allows you to still be threatening with the fallback, charge, get enough boys into combat so you can get all your attacks in. That way you can't just get tagged by someone slightly at the end of your mob and really make you not as efficient in combat.
Yeah, and he's going to be carrying his weight too when you fall back and charge. It's coming with a power claw. That's 4 attacks, a straight 9 -2, 2 damage. That's the profile you're going to want for what you're even sending your boys to do. That's a good profile to what they're going into.
Okay. He is a little low on wounds with 4 wounds, but he also is cheaper than an actual pain boy. So that's interesting right there. Still, because all the other characters you're going to probably bring before him and even redundancy in other characters, I'm just going to keep him in B tier, and I'm not going to put him much higher than that. He could be argued for lower because you're willing to put other characters, but we're just going to stick him in there because his profile overall is solid, and I'm sure people could come up with good ideas to have fallback and charge, right? As for the next one, we're talking about the Mega Knobs. So the Mega Knobs, we're just running a know they're considered S tier right now in the Orc Index in most cases, because the kind of they help you in the way that you really want them to help you. You have that thick meaty unit that can either come back to life, kill, enemy opposition units that you're really worried about. They can get themselves hard as nails, like anybody in this list, remember, but it's even nicer on them because they're already sitting at T6. They're going to have gas with them. So you really know, like, you want to keep this unit alive. The other one, you have the mech, big mech that's also up on the S tier with them. Going to bring them back to life. They have 3 wounds of pop. They have good strength. They have the AP you want. They're immune to small 3 strength weapons, even slightly immune to like bolters and stuff. People aren't going to want to waste that on them. And if you are going to get hit with them disgusting barrage of maybe stuff that's winning you on 5s, put art of nails on them. They're winning you on 6s now. Small arms fire is just non-consequential. These guys, they have to just end up in S tier for me. And the fact that you can put them in the units of 2, 3, 5, 6, right? You don't have to just go like 5, 10, 3, 6. You can mix it up in there. That really does help you when you're trying to assign them the transports or which character you're going to put there, or help make up those points on the rest of your list so you can get as close as possible to 2000. So Meganoms, S tier, unless you really don't agree with me.
No, I think there's a lot of clear reasons why these Meganobs are S tier. That T6 with the -1 wound strat is a very odd profile that a lot of people with their strength 7 guns, they're going to all of a sudden be wounding you on 4s. And that's not going to feel good. These guys are durable at 4 wounds a pop. And then they're devastating in the WAAAGH. They're doing devastating wounds when they turn with all those attacks. That's a nasty combination with Gaz.
Yeah. The next unit we're going to move on to is the Kill Rig. The Kill Rig, he's about 220 now. Still paying a lot of points for him. But like, I like to always look into models that can play multiple phases of the game. He's a transport. He moves 10 inches. He's playing the movement phase very well because he's bringing people with him. He's shooting because he has the stick cannon, but he also has the war tower, right? So he still has his psychic ability to just have strength 12 -3 d6 for d3 shots. He has an Evi Labla, so you can get some kind of indirect shots. Not that they're great, but you have them. And then he has the Spirit of Gork. So in what used to be the psychic phase, or what is psychic in general, he selects 1 unit and he gives them lethal hits. 12-inch aura for such a big model. Really cool. He can give up to sorry about that. I was going to talk about his melee profile real quick.
Oh, I just wanted to add on to his shooting. His firing deck ability too. You're getting extra shots through that.
Yeah, the boys, the Beast Snag is in there going to shoot their pistols out. May do 1 thump gun, just heck, I'm to do it anyways. The Butcher, his melee profile himself though, he does have another person that has access to damage 3, which we really like to see. It is low AP though. They did reduce his AP, which is a little scary considering you would like someone so big to have more AP than this.
Right. And opponents are going to be bringing their big hitters, usually dreadnoughts, exalted demons, knights. You would like to see more AP, so he could at least stand a chance and chip some wounds off, or even chunks off the.
Yeah, he doesn't have a 6-up invuln anymore. He just has a 6-up feel no pain. He is T10, so he doesn't even, the Battle Wagon has the ability to get up to T12. I do like that, even if you're going to close it up. That way Meganobs can get up the field. Yeah, I cannot put him into S tier. He's very expensive for what he is, but because he plays so many phases of the game, I'm still going to put him into A tier because he's really a part of the game. He's just in there. Enemy can't ignore him. They're going to have to kill him. And for what you're going to put in there, which is going to most likely just be Beast Boys, you really like to get them up the field as quick as possible and have like a nice shell for them, right? So people can't just let that go. And Beast Snagger Boys are kind of cheap, so it's nice to put them in there and give that threat saturation. I'm going to put him in A tier though. Then we have his cousin, the Hunter Rig. So the Hunter Rig is let me look up his exact points because I didn't look at his points there recently. Oh, I did, but I don't remember them off the top of my head as easily as some of the other models. Yeah, he didn't get as much love last edition, right? Everybody was just willing to use just psychic mortal wounds and just go hard in there and just kill everybody. So I don't know. I'm having a second. My eyes wander. Hunter Rig. What was his points? Kill Rig. Yeah, Kill Rig was 220. Hunter Rig was 180. So for 40 points less. 40 points less. He has the same defensive profile. So you can re-roll the Mortal Wounds test from when people are disembarking from him. That's a special ability. That's not much compared to being able to buff a whole enemy unit. He doesn't get nearly as much shooting, and he has the same melee profile. I don't like him that much. Just gonna go straight out with it. I think he's a B tier. Am I being a hater right now?
No, that's fair, dude. This is a big model. Costs a lot of points.
He might
Does
even
not
be
bring
less.
too much value. Anything unique.
He might be C tier, to be honest. Honestly, just because look at a battle wagon. He with the death roller. I mean, and then you have the guns, and then you're transporting more. But no, he can stay there because at least he's fighting. Kind of. I mean.
No, I get what you're saying. Can we really put him amongst the rest of these units in B tier? I think there's a clear
distinction. Right. I mean, yeah, I think honestly, I didn't even mean to do that. But yeah, sorry about that, guys. I just dropped the hunter rig. Thinking out loud. Yeah. So no. Sorry. You're right. He does belong there. So let's move on. Another buggy is the Boondocka Snaz wagon. I'm just gonna go straight out with it. Yeah, he's gonna go into C tier. There's other buggies that are better than him. He did get reduced the damage that he gets. His aura of -1 to hit. Why would you want to bet that close with the buggy? That's usually bad conditions. And there's a different buggy that can give someone -1 to hit by just shooting at them and hitting them. So he's saying C tier. So he could end up in D, but we're gonna just say C for now. So kilocans. I know people don't hate kilocans. They like that they're strength 8 with -2, 3 damage. You have a lot of wounds that are dispersed. But as for T6 models, and just in that category for how slow they're moving, how many points is it? 150 for the 3 of them?
Around there, yeah.
They used to be 35 points a pop. They don't have ramshackle anymore.
No, they don't.
Unless you see something on there I didn't miss. I mean, even their special ability isn't going to save them. It's not like a great special ability or anything. I have a hard time putting them in anything higher than B. Yeah, I have a hard time putting them in anything higher than B. It's 150 for 3. That seems a bit much, to be honest. The leadership of 8 too. Not that pretty bad, you know. You can't give them rockets. I mean, I don't hate that, right? So, but that's didn't put him in B tier. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in B tier for that. I guess you could put a mech by them, but they're already like kind of expensive for what they are. So I'm not gonna put them into A tier at all. They're gonna stay right there. The War Boss, talking about characters that you might want to spam, right? You might want to put these guys into like multiple knob units, multiple boys units. They're only 70 points. He gets up to 8 of his power claw attacks. And then you get unbridled carnage onto that same unit he's in. You're just putting mass wounds onto people, which is exactly what you'd want to do with an orc. That's really what you want to do as an orc, with all the different kind of durability traits there are and everything that's going on. Just put so many wounds on people. That's the way you deal with them, especially for 70 points.
Yeah, this is a great value. It's so hard not to want to take more. I can see a lot of lists with 2 on there.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not going to put them into S tier is because I'm not even sure boys. You know how below boys are. And we still talk about knobs, and I don't think knobs are really S tier either. So the units he's being attached to are why I would keep him out of S tier as well. So we're just going to keep him at really good A tier, I believe. But we'll get there when we get there. These are the commandos. Commandos, they're your infiltrating unit. They set the line. The only hit that they took right now is that they cost quite a bit, and that they're stuck at a 10-man unit. So you're going to have an issue kind of trying to hide that infiltrating unit, right? The enemy might be able to get the shot on them, but in general, you do want these guys on your list. With the amount of scouting and infiltrating there might also be, and as an orc player, you might just want to get that foothold up the field sooner and not let people kind of set the pace on you, set the fighting line on you. You set them on them, and that you can kind of do that with this guy, with this unit. They do get the bomb squig, so you want those mortal wounds. Now their war gear is free as well, with these also additional to the additional melee weapons I believe they had. So they get the breaching ram, which is only 2 attacks, but it is strength 9 -2 damage. They have the power claw. So they, in general, as a whole, have multiple weapons, and you can replace them with other things. And they can use the distraction gra for the invuln that they need it. They get -1 to hit for being stealth. So yeah, as a whole, I'm not going to put these guys less than A tier, just because of the utility in your list and what you need them to and what they do internally in your codex that not other people do. They are the masters of what they do, which I love that because I love blood axes and I love all that kind of style of play. So yeah, keep them there. Keep them in A tier, right?
Yeah,
135.
I wish they cost a little bit less,
Mhm.
but that ability to not be overwatched.
Oh yes,
the main
ability to
reason
not
you're
be
gonna want to
overwatched.
bring these guys in the
Yeah.
list.
I knew you've been loving that.
And even though, like you said, you're limited to taking them in a 10-man unit, At least they come with a stealth keyword, so it's a -1 to hit.
Yep.
So it helps.
Very cool. Very cool. I like them. So that's me. Custom boost to Blasta is next, right? This is the one that gives you -1 to hit. His gun has 2 damage as well. He's just at the points about 85. Take him or leave him. It's your meta, in my opinion. If you know someone really has, let's say you know someone who brings a main blade, right? Really bother that main blade and go ahead and shoot him. Make a -1 to hit. Maybe cut the angle on something that you really don't want that to be shooting at you with mouse volume as well that you can think of. Make a -1 to hit. Maybe they have a killing unit that's coming in and you really want your boys to alive. You're stacking the 5-up feel no pain, the 5-up invuln, and then the fact that that unit's now -1 to hit, your boy can stay alive. And I know the boys maybe will not be at the capacity to keep a death ball and damage them when they run into them. But hey, you never know if they might end up staying alive for the turn longer than the other player expected. So you never know, this guy might have some utility. So I'm gonna stick him into B tier because he is one of the best of the buggies. So barely into B tier, but at the bottom because he has some playability for one on your list. Might end up in top C, but I'm just gonna say right now, B for now.
Yeah, another good tool to have in your toolkit.
Then we go to Ludas. So Ludas, yeah, I don't like them. They tried with the point cost. They really did put them in a battle wagon, get that volume in there for them. But they're just wet paper bags. We've seen with the indirect that there is in this game is still going to kill them. So I'm not loving that. If you really want to, you can bring them. They are strength 8 now. And they have great range, right? 48-inch range. Can't knock that. But keeping the lines of sight, moving around. Man, what's this unit? I just want to make sure I'm not missing something before I dag by them.
I wanted to mention at that range, 48-inch range, yeah, it's a good profile. It's just that I have a problem with the AP. The 48-inch range, most likely what you're shooting at is going to have cover. So just wipe that out. You're shooting them at 0 AP.
And they do only have 2 shots each, and they already start with a ballistic skill of 6. Even though I know they're going to get +1 to hit.
So you want to see the +1 to hit
if they don't move.
To
yeah,
at least
yeah.
a 50% shot at hitting.
No, so I'm going to throw these guys down into D tier. They might even end up in F tier, in my opinion, but they're really cheap. They're for what they are. Let me see. I think they're pretty cheap. I just don't like them at all. I mean, you have I'd rather bring flash kits or mech guns. Yeah. It's 100. It's 55 points for 4 of them and a spanner. So that's dirt cheap, but I'm just 105. Yeah, I'm just gonna that'll keep them into C tier, I guess. I won't put them in D. We can put them in C, in my opinion. But
relatively speaking, it is dirt cheap. But when you start making these lists, you're gonna find out real quick that you need those 55 points. Just
but for shooting, people might want them. I can't put them lower. I mean, I would say like shooter boys.
I'm not arguing put them lower. We can't go lower than.
I was gonna say maybe keep them in C, but I mean. Yeah, I guess we'll just leave them there. Maybe I'm just being hater. Yeah, for now, maybe I'm just being. I don't want to be mean to orcs because I love them too much. Maybe I don't want to put anybody into D tier, but yeah.
I mean, if your meta's demons,
I was gonna put big headed boss bunker into A tier, so I don't know. No,
it doesn't matter.
All right, so we got it's true against the meta demons. Strength 8 maybe matters. This is the war boss in mega armor. War boss in mega armor. He did not get the glow up that the war boss got. He actually cost quite a bit too. His abilities for during the wall, he gets a 4 feel no pain. So maybe you want another durable mega knob unit along the side with the other one that actually brings guys to life and heals them. Maybe this guy wants to be a last man standing. I don't know. I don't like him. I think he got the short end of the war boss stick. He didn't have enough tools to remember. He spent so much time collecting teeth that he didn't remember how to fight or get his abilities gone. So we're gonna put him into C. He kind of spent too much time putting on armor and then didn't bulk up enough and catch up to where he needed to be.
Yeah, all I see is you're paying for the aesthetics here.
You're paying for the strength 12. You're paying for the strength 12 that goes with the strength 13. That's what you're paying for. But it's still not enough damage. If he was damage 3, maybe. I mean, maybe then he could argue for him, but between Gaz and the big, between Bad Gaz and the Big Mac and Mega Armor, you're not gonna bring him. So, or the other war boss, C tier, boom. This is A tier because we all know it's broken and it can break the game right now, but we're gonna ignore that and just put it into D tier. It can heal within a big range in your deployment zone, multiple vehicles at once. But like I said, you can't even bring like 9 Death Dreads anymore. So, I mean, even if you wanted to threat saturate, it's whatever. And so, yeah, no, we're going to just leave him there. Let's go to the big mech. I mean, the mech in general. This guy is cheap as dirt, 55 points. You can get Ludas. Or you can get him to give a whole vehicle +1 to hit and heal it, and he gets lone operative while he stays within 3 inches of it. So I'm going to stick him into B tier. I like him. Let's just go ahead and put him there. If you're playing with vehicles and stuff, stick him right there behind the Morkanaut and the Gorkanaut, probably. If you're going to play with these vehicles and maybe you know that you're going to try to move up the center of the board with multiple Morkanauts and Gorkanauts or battle wagons or even a kill rig, he can just jump out and then give you the buff. And then maybe the next turn he advances forward and he gets close to the other vehicle that was previous behind you. And now he gives that one a +1 to hit and charges off. I mean, you can do that. So I'm keeping him in B tier. Yeah, I like him. We got the Knob with the wall banner. He gives you another wall. He is only 3 points, so I do worry. I mean, sorry, 3 wounds. So I do worry about him being precision murdered very quickly. That's my biggest thing, at least competitively, right? Some people are really looking at bringing scouts or ways to precisionally kill your wall boy.
Yeah, but he's the perfect target for that type of unit.
Yeah, 3 wounds. But he still can't be less than B tier because you're going to give someone another wall, which is advance and charge, +1 attack, +1 strength. And with our lack of strength and us loving volume, he's giving you that additional volume you need. But the units he can be stuck to, like Knobs, they might appreciate that. I personally think I'd use the War Boss, though, first. But some people really, really love the idea of him in there, so I'm not going to knock it because you can put him in boys and have that other boys really cover the other boy unit cover some ground with follow me lads for another +2 movement to that unit through him. So you're going to get +2 movement to the unit for him. You have 1 CP strap to get +2 to charge. So I can see why you're going to bring him and you'll accept him being on a footbound troop. But I'm still going to keep him into B tier. I'm not sure if he ends up on every list because of that. As to you can kill him that unit before he really gets to do anything. And he also doesn't directly help for the survivability until he calls that wall that 1 turn. Which could matter because you're giving them a 1 turn invuln too, remember.
Yeah, so, that combination you mentioned is a good way.
How many points is he? Maybe I can knock him up into B tier. Not with one banner.
I was just saying that's a good delivery system.
70
to get
points.
Another unit of knobs in there after you already call wall or before you call your wall.
He's 70 points, so he's the same price as a War Boss. Would you rather bring a War Boss or him?
I'd rather bring a War Boss just because we're gonna see.
I put him still top of B tier though. I don't like him. If you can throw him up there, just right off the bat, put him all the way for the people know he's like almost on the cusp. Like put him right at against the B. Yeah. Captain and Badrick shouldn't be that high, but that's what it's going on right now. Now we move on. Boss Zagstruck. He's only 100 points. He's still super killy. The only issue I have is that the boys he'll be attached to, the Storm boys, are not super killy. They're still super useful overall, but when you're talking about the rest of the characters you're going to bring, I'm not sure if you're going to bring him. But for killing potential, and if you choose to play Storm boys and you have a lot of them, I like him. Go ahead and bring him. He's 100 points. He will make that unit actually capable of skirmishing and fighting and actually killing something if you attach him to that unit.
Yes. I like his reroll charges. I just don't like the condition tied to it.
Yeah.
It's coming out of reserves.
Yeah.
I'd rather much rapid ingress him with the unit and move up, get that shorter charge set up.
And then come in and do your thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to stick him into a B tier as well because on his own, he's already pretty good. It's just how good do you really like him with Storm Boys? Storm Boys getting the increase and being only strength 4. With the whole meta being like that, Storm Boys might just be bouncing or used for secondaries. So then would you bring him, right, if they're using for secondaries? Because they can be 5-man units.
That unit as cheap as possible.
Yeah, they can be 5-man units for Storm Boys. So we got the knobs themselves. So the knobs, I've heard people online question the knobs, and I like that they're questioning it because they're like, why don't we just bring more mega knobs? You look at the points, it's 230 for 10 knobs, or it's 200 for 6 mega knobs. Well, what's the difference? I want the durability trait. I don't have to deal with these boys dying, paying another 50 points for the truck. That's 280 for these 10 dudes. Why would I bring them? You bring them because they have a different character, as in you can just put the War Boss in them, and because what they have is the enormous volume that the mega knobs lack because they're capped at 6 units. So if you're talking about just straight volume onto people, you have the War Boss with his base 8 attacks during the wall, and then each knob has 3 + 1 for the wall 4. So if you have 10 dudes, 40 attacks with power claws getting +1 to hit, they give you that AP you need, they give you that strength you need, they give you that additional multi-damage attacks you need. And even if you're punching up, right, to an extent with that mass volume, they can still do something. You can't rely on gas to do everything for you. And the other mega knob unit that has the Big Mech in it, they don't get +1 to hit. They're not reliably killing something hitting on 4s. They're more like an absorption unit, right? This unit with unbridled carnage, with that many attacks, you're talking about 40 from just the knobs in the unit, then the war boss himself having another 8 with +1 to hit as a whole, and then exploding 5s. Okay. And this is the unit I'm talking about. You throw in there as a missile to kill you. The truck's hiding. These dudes get out. There's a 10-man unit instead of all the boys, so that the difference of the volume is you can get them to base. Don't knock them until you look at them into hitting something, right? They can come in there and really smash something out. So don't knock the knobs. I'm going to put them in A tier. I like knobs. They do end up on my list. One of them with the war boss for the most part. They're one of my other missile units to actually kill somebody with the volume of attacks of an elite infantry unit and me getting the -2 AP that I need. Knobs just sticking to -1 AP.
Right. And that combination also rewards you with the -1 to wound when the war boss is leading the unit. I don't know if you mentioned that.
I did not. That was the other one with the war boss makes them like that. For the small arms fire actually becomes not as scary on them, even though they're only T5. So someone's going to have to commit to countercharging them, and you could possibly find death. Right? So I'm going to keep them in A tier. Don't knock them, and I won't be surprised if someone else agrees with me and starts using them at a higher level, hopefully. Or I'm wrong. So this is the pain boss. He's like their version of the medic for the beast boss snagger guys. The only guy I really see, I think he can bring guys back to life too. I believe, yes. If you, David, will double check me right now. Does he bring guys back to life? No, he just heals guys, right?
Heals
yeah, so he's good for he's good for healing the beast boss on Squigosaur and Mazrog.
Oh, and with the war gear ability, he does actually do that.
Okay, so yeah, once per battle, he does bring guys back. See, it's not multiple times though, right? So really, you're just going to bring the beast boss instead of this guy. I'm going to drop this guy down into C tier. He's not fast enough. He's not even fast anymore like he used to be. With 8 inches range, he only moves 6 inches now, I believe. So I'm just going to throw him down into C tier because he just took a hit and all, and I'm just not in love with him. So go ahead and leave him in C tier. As for the Pain Boy himself, Pain Boy, he can do mortal wounds when he hits you. He gives a 5-up heal no pain. He does cost more than Mad Doc Rotnik, and he doesn't give you the fallback in charge. So yeah, that's what you're taking. Once per battle, he can bring D3 guys back to life as well. So you do like that. We would love if it was maybe more than once per game. Hopefully if it was twice. But for that, I'm going to keep him in B tier. So you can just bring War Boss or Beast Bosses, and you're going to put them in your infantry units as well. You're not going to worry about too much feel no pains all the time.
B tier?
I think B tier, yeah. Or you think less?
Well, what is the
You're right.
I know he costs less or more than the Pain Boss.
Pain Boss doesn't give a feel no pain to the whole unit like that.
No, he only gives it to himself.
He doesn't. I don't think he doesn't even. Does he even give it to the beast?
When he's leading a unit, he actually does give a 5-up feel no pain. The Pain Boss.
Oh yeah, he does. But the dudes already have a 6-up. Sorry, here dudes already have a 6-up. The ones he's already attached to, the beast snaggers, they already have a 6-up. So you're just paying for them to give them +1. And like I said, they can only have one character, so you're gonna put the beast boss. That's why I put him so low, because there's someone you're directly gonna put in opposition compared to the Pain Boy, where they can put 2 guys in that unit.
Right. So yeah. This guy can just lead more different units.
Yeah, that's really the only reason. He could be at the bottom of. He could be at the top of C. We'll put him at the back of B though. Because I think stacking a 5-up invul and a 5-up heal no pain could be a way to run boys. But remember, the cost is he's 70 points. You could just use that to pay for more. Like that's like almost 10 boys to pay for. He's bringing D3 back. So are you saving him? You might just want to bring more boys. So I could even see dropping him into C tier. Really, just throw him in the back though. Because the mortal wounds and stuff, just leave him there for now, I guess. But I could see him dropping a C tier, really. I could. So this is one of the other buggies that I think is playable. He gets such a good amount of attacks for rocket shots. You love that for his rocket shots. Rockets are very valuable with being strength 9 and -2 and a flat 3 damage. This guy's cool because he actually fights good too. You know, he has his base 8 strength with -1, 2 damage. And he does mortal wounds on the charge. So this guy's fast. He's getting the angles he wants to get the shots off that he wants, and he can actually initiate charges and be useful to charge. So
right. The morals on the charge.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's useful on the charge. He's the most playable buggy there is in the game. Every other maybe besides the indirect one. So we're gonna put him in B tier. As for what he is internally in the codex compared to all the other fast attacks and buggies, he's still there. He's actually slightly above the custom booster blasta. We'll rearrange later. So we got Mazrog's Scrag Bag. Oh, I love Mazrog. He's the one guy besides Gaz that you can reliably know that's going to go in there and kill a small vehicle and just terrorize your enemy with the 4-up on a 4-up. 4-up invuln is what you want, because when people do see him at this toughness 10, they're like, man, I have to put this anti-vehicle into him, and that's where the 4-up invuln is so much better than the 5-up invuln. Then from small arms fire, that's where the 5-up feeling pain, the 4-up feeling pain comes into play. Or if someone slips that through, then slips in a couple of this anti-tank vehicle wounds, that's when your feeling pain comes into play being the 4-up. But you really like the 4-up invuln and his extra ability to kill vehicles. You have the data sheet? So yeah, he's just putting so much damage into these vehicles. When you look at that, you can call his data sheet out, David. Got it. You can do it.
Yeah, so we're looking at a T10 body with 9 wounds. So he will be able to get shot at right away. But like you said, he's got that 4-up, so that's going to be hard to chew for anyone. You wanted to hear his melee profile?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got 6 attacks with his main weapon, which the key here is anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4. So don't pay too much attention to the strength, although the strength does come into play if he has to fight those elite infantry. So 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 7, -1, 3 damage. You combine that with his the bigger they is ability to get the +1 damage on monster and vehicles and the +2 against Titanic units.
Yeah, there we go.
You know, now you're talking about strength 4, possibly strength 5, and he's still got the 3 extra attacks with the big Champa Jaws that are devastating wounds, an additional AP, so we're at -2 with these. And Titanic, you're talking 6 damage, 5 damage versus monsters, 4 damage versus elite infantry. Like, that is solid. He's chewing through almost anything he needs in combat.
Yeah, so I think his big price tag of 195, I'm still going to use him. I'm still going to put him in most lists and try him out until I find a reason not to. S tier for WAAAGH. And you put him already. Okay. Then we got the knob on Smash a Squig. So there's people might start to hate me for this because I'm not sure if I want to put him into A tier. I'm just going to say right off the bat, don't hate me. Hold on. So I personally think I like to run MSU Squig Hog Boys. I would like them to be my skirmishing unit as I'm looking to put mega knobs and maybe knobs and the vehicles, all these other different kind of units, my death balls to run up the field in these transports and take up the middle. Therefore, I think my MSU units might end up being 2-3 units of these Squig Hog Boys running around the corner of the cables and skirmishing people with the lancing charge ability. Also, if WAAAGH's on the field, you're going to get the +1 to hit from him. So I know people want the Squig Hog Sergeant. I really do. But the 6-man unit of Squigs is pretty huge in game. And you add him to it, that's really huge on the battlefield. And it's not moving tremendously fast. You can make him just +2 to move. But for how big it is, it's still not moving tremendously fast. People are going to put shots into it for most of their way on its way up to you. I mean, up to them. And I think there's other death balls with more AP that I think are going to be your real death balls. That's why I think your Squig Hogs are going to be your skirmishing, and then WAAAGH's going to be kind of around them, helping them take out this tough stuff that they can't take out. So I still am going to put him into B tier. I really am. And don't hate me for it. You don't pull up his data sheet. I didn't mix anything that I want to talk about.
And I think it's fair where you're putting him right now because we're going to see when we talk about the Squig Hog Boys, they already are a great data sheet. And for their value and what they're providing against the targets that they're built for, he's not adding much to that unit.
You want them, also the reason you want them dispersed is for their points. People are going to have a hard time killing them with that 5-up, feel no pain, and that they can get cover now. So people are really just going to be like, ooh, how much damage do I put into that 3-man unit? They're going to have one dude running around by himself, and then he's going to go around lancing people on his own and possibly killing little annoying units or touching scout squads. Yeah, I'm about them as MSU, and I'm worried about them as blobs because I know the enemy is going to have their own Death Stars. I'm going to see them coming and worry about them. And you already have maybe Gaz on foot, or you have knobs or battle wagons or kill rigs, right? Think about how the battlefield looks once you start making these. It's going to be really hard to move around and such unless you're like, I'm just going to go thick saturation and go like 3 kill rigs and then my big squig bombs and stuff. I could see that if you're going for a whole list. But still, I think you're going to fill the board with more squigs, other stuff, and he's going to be left out. Sometimes, unless you really have that one Death Star. So I'm going to put him at the top of B or mid B, but I'm not going to put him into A because A is what I consider goes on like every list. B is something that I consider goes on, can be put onto a list depending on how you're going to play them. When you get to the top of B, then it's like you probably should put them or could put them, but it really matchup dependent or meta dependent is a better way to put it. As for Snickrod is we already see commandos cost so much. and his ability that he's giving them isn't necessarily game changing or breaking or throttling. So for that, I'm gonna go ahead and put him probably into C tier. Really, I mean, he has -1 AP. Yeah, I'm gonna put him into C tier unless he's super cheap, and I don't think he's super cheap. Do you think so? Am I, you disagreeing with me?
Depending on his price point, because his melee is decent.
How many attacks?
6 attacks, but it's precision and twin linked. So strength 6 -1, 2 damage. That's a good profile going into characters if that's what you want to put on your list.
Yeah, they're a cheap character.
But like we said earlier, there's just so many characters in this Orks index that you're gonna want to take. I don't think he's gonna make the cut on most.
No, I'm definitely gonna put him into C tier. Sorry.
Yeah, what is he costing? Is he costing more than the war boss? And I think for sure we can knock him down. Alphabetical order.
I know, and I missed
Boss.
right there.
Yo.
No, Snickrat.
Boss Snickrat.
Oh, he called Boss Snickrat now. Before he used it to be called Snickrat. My bad. No wonder I was missing him. He's 105 points. Yeah, throw him down in C tier.
Yes,
105.
War boss with his enhancement is cheaper than that.
C tier. Okay, this is the indirect buggy. A lot of people still kind of want to bring him. I'm not in love because I think there's no throttling to shooting anymore for the orcs. The buggy does get a +1. You could put a mech on one of them, but like I've said, unless you're going to put a bunch of the same thing or really going to put them on multiple list, you can't put this buggy any higher than B tier, and I put him at the end of B tier. So do you have any qualms? He's 110 points for that.
No, yeah, that tier's appropriate.
Yeah, he's totally viable and to use him, but we're definitely going to put him into B tier. Just leave him at the bottom, back into B tier. Squig Hog Riders, no question, put them in S tier, and internally in the codex. Lancing ability, the durability of them themselves being a T7 now. The 5 of feel no pain, the 4 up armor, the ability to get cover. They're going to be on almost every list. People just want them. I almost go like copy and paste them into almost all my list, whether it's a big fat unit or if it's 3 little units. Yeah, you get the bomb squigs. Of course, you get the anti-vehicle, but also you get to ignore all the modifiers for these units for his advance and charge rolls. So the fact that it is kind of slow to a certain extent, it's made up for that by maybe Barbgon's trying to slow him down. I could see you, like I said, don't hate me. That's when you could put the knob smasher squig because you give them one big unit more ability to move up the field. You really could, but it is a pretty expensive package. It's about 300 some points, and I'm not sure what other packages would you put to supersede that. I mean, would you rather have the knobs running up the field and smasher squigs taking fire, or would you rather have a battle wagon and then the guys in them possibly get out? See, it's a personal preference, but the squags themselves are getting S tier, and maybe knobs on smasher squig going to go higher on B tier, but still, just saying. Knob Squig Hog Riders definitely being S tier. Now we got the Storm Boys themselves. Storm Boy costed them much for the fact that they're just boys at strength 4. What are they really killing? Gaunts? The fact that they're gonna be 5-man units, that's cool. I like that. That's gonna be for scoring and everything like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the boys into B tier. The fact that they cannot use their auto advance 6 anymore and then charge. It literally says in the data sheet they can't use that and charge. That's bothering me. If they could go up and you can cover a huge distance, okay. But the fact that they can't, they're higher up B tier would be than that, but they're gonna stick in B tier. Then we got the Tank Busters. Throw them in D tier for me, even though I know people are gonna hate me. Just hear me out. They do have two bomb squigs. Getting those 2 off is gonna be a little hard, right? The transports are gonna want to put these guys in the mobile gun platforms. Gonna be a little full. The guys are a bit expensive. Only 3 of them have the same profile as each other, as you have to use the pistols now and a hammer. I mean, it's not working out in the way you want for these guys. They took a big hit. I'm not going to put them higher than D tier. I really don't think anybody should put them on their list. There's so many other ways to put it. The meta, I mean, maybe you can put them into C tier. I guess you really could. But, I mean, come on. I really want to put them into D tier internally in the codex.
I think D tier is appropriate. When you look at their data sheet, you look at them, and the first thing that pops out is the rocket launcher. You want to bring more of those. And like you said, you can't take one in every guy. So, no. D tier.
D tier is where they're at. Now the war bikers. What I like about the war bikers is they kept their cheap point cost. They're about 25 points per guy, 75 for 3 of them. Boom. They did go up to T6. Boom. 3 wounds. They're fast. They get -1 OP when they shoot. Why do you want the -1 OP when you shoot? Well, if someone knows you're coming with your wall and they're trying to put pressure on you, they might throw some out there to bother you and get in the way. Have some guardsmen move into the center. Have some skinny 1 wound infiltrating units. Maybe have some agents of the Imperium in the way. All these different stuff, and you want to pit fire those guys down and charge through and past them. That way you don't get stuffed where the enemy wants you to get stuffed. They have a built-in 6-up info. I don't love their melee profiles because we talked about strength 4 already, but because they have that durability and multi wounds, and the knob is 4 wounds on there, so he's not even 3. That's freaking awesome. I have to put these guys into B tier, kind of like mid B tier.
Yeah, they serve a clear role. The anti-chaff shooting.
Different than the Squig Hog Riders.
Yeah, different. I could definitely see people taking a 75-point unit just to harass, play the mission better, control the board.
Yep.
Do all those things for you at a reasonable price.
Yeah, see right here. Wall day. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. My bad. Wall day. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, cool. Wall day. Saw the Mega Track Scrapjet do 10 mortal wounds on the charge earlier today with tank shock strat and his charge ability. Yes, if you're willing to put strats into them, that guy, he is the most, like I said, he is the best buggy right now in the index. Boom. He's the best buggy. I'm glad I got 4. Well, even though you can use 3. But I'm glad I got him. They're really cool. He's really cool. He's strong. He's multi-purpose because you see the mortal wounds. That's on top of whatever rockets he threw. That's on top of the angles he took to bother people. Yeah, dude, that guy's awesome. I love him. Thank you for mentioning that. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Because people were like, the buggy? No, that guy's great. That guy's an exception.
Yeah, these models with extra activations, like we see with the Scrapjet, they're just more opportunities to deal damage to your opponent. How can you not like that?
Yeah, I'd like to see, Chad, do you think they should go up to an A tier for that? I mean, I like to know what other Orc players think. I've used them. I've had a lot of good experience with these guys, and they have a very similar data sheet to what they had. I could argue putting them a little higher, muster points, but I'm going to say they would be at the still the top of B tier. I'm still going to just hold them out there unless someone wants to argue a 0.4 now. Of course, in the comments after in the video, go ahead and let us know. They're at 90 points. So they're still less than 100.
Yeah, you're not getting any argument out of me. I've been on the other side of that plenty of times. It does not feel good. But they're effective, man. Like even facing them, I appreciate the model, the rules. I wish I had something in my index like that.
Yeah, and WAAAGH says again, it was into a group of intercessors, though. Yeah, whoa, it doesn't matter. They got crumped on. That's all we really care. But you've seen it, and you know what they're going to do now. And you know that, hey, if you got 90 points, which we see these weird numbers left over sometimes, I'm going to stick this guy more on. So he's definitely at the top of B tier. He might fall into the bottom of A tier. Who knows? B tier is looking a little cramped right now. So let's look at the weird boy. I'm going to drop him into... He's cool, but you're most likely going to bring a bunch of different variations of other characters, right? You can, unless you're running just a straight mob of just straight boys and you need to teleport up to the field, you're not going to bring him. I'm going to stick him into C tier. He is very cheap. They tried, but he's not doing enough. And there's so many other characters. I'm not. And I had someone argue the point with me. I might even say D. Argue the point with me that are you even killing characters this edition because they're all in units and bodyguarded? The answer to that question is yes. Good players are looking for ways to kill them before they can even activate, or people have these very, very durable, strong, or very strong killy units, and they're looking to straight wipe you. So people are almost like playing chess. You want to take angles on people's most powerful chess pieces on the board, and you're going to try to trade them out and kill them with yours, and hope that you get a cheaper trade and such. So yeah, I'm not going to commit in any other way than that, right? So
I'm going to leave him at the bottom of C tier, strictly because of his points and the nostalgic factor. You know, being able to jump, that's essentially his ability. So it brings back some good times.
8th edition.
C tier is appropriate.
Yeah. And WAAAGH, do you disagree about the tank busters though? Or I want to know if anybody in chat does even later in the video, like in comment section after the video. The Squig Rider, we'll put him higher into B tier, but like I said, you might just bring more stuff unless you're really set on having a bomb of just these hog riders, right? Unless you really don't. If you have a table open enough for that, then all power to you. And then, like I said, do you disagree? Does anybody disagree about the tank busters being that low? Does anybody want to see the flash gets higher? Let us know in the comment section. We talk about it in later videos. Let everybody in general hear about it in the codex. I mean, hear about the next and whole, because I see all these different groups and everybody making different arguments and discussions. I like all of them being together. And then WAAAGH says, I'm big on squig hogs. Yeah, man. Us two, we put them in the number one S tier. What I was saying is the sergeant, though, to be clear, do you always need the sergeant all the time? Is he S tier along with them? So, yeah. And then, so we're going to move on to Wartsnaga. He has the best buffs in the game. Super, super fun. I'm just going to automatically just put him in the C tier because Grauts are not battle line anymore. So you can't bring enough of them to be willing to throw away 20 of them to have a snot booger bomb, right?
Yeah, it's a fun concept. Though.
Yeah, it's a fun, maybe in smaller games. You might be like, yeah, I'm going to throw this up on you right away and just make you deal with this. Maybe, really so. But I'm going to keep him in C tier for now.
Yeah, the extra point cost just takes away from these other combinations that you can add.
Yeah, and so put him in C tier real quick. And that's the WAAAGH says, Tank Buster is mad at me because they make you take the pistol. Exactly. And the hammer, right? And I like the old hammer and everything. It's cool. But if you're going to pay for the mobile transportation to get those guys a line of sight to get them to kill, you want multiple guns. You want 5 guns. You want to get all the guns out of them. So, and they're 135 points. They can't get up to bigger units. It takes 1 bomb squig at a time. Now I'm keeping them in D tier. I'm sorry. We got the Wereboy. He's going to go into probably D tier or C tier. And we can, maybe I don't know his data sheet enough, but he's just not going to make it on the list. You're going to bring multiple beast bosses. You're going to beast Mazrog. You're going to beat the Sart. He is literally the last option for your characters. Even that's not Wartsnaga has an idea of what you want to do with him. So I'm still going to leave him there. Anyone want to argue the point? Anybody, you go ahead. I'm going to move on to the truck. So the truck is, did you have what his ability is? Did we talk? It's not great. Okay. We can talk about it as we move through these lists and move people around, right? Because we're going to finish here soon. We have the truck right away, 50 points. You already know. Wow, put it into S tier, right? Putting it into S tier because you know that so many lists can just plug them in, give your boys these transports that are coming out. Space Marines are paying a premium with Land Raiders and all these super expensive vehicles to get out and hit you and charge you. These are like a shell. The Orks might come out and be a little, might be battle shocked if they get destroyed. But regardless, the size of a truck is so small and the speed of it is so nice that for the most part, you can hide them when you need them to and deliver these killy units that we really want to preserve so they can hit at max capacity for volume. So S tier right away. Boom. So the Wazbomb Blasted Jet. I believe that's a column. If I'm wrong about the names, forgive me. He's the best of the planes. You can go ahead and pretend he's S C tier, but all these planes as a whole, we're just gonna go ahead and put them into D tier. They don't have hover. Some of them are cheap enough that you could use, but the meta right now and what the Orks are gonna be doing, you're not gonna revolve around planes. And because people can know where you're gonna end up, smart players are gonna try to block you out and make sure that you cannot land somewhere, possibly getting your plane just straight up killed or forcing you off the board. So I'm not about for Orks. You got to put those in D tier. There's so many other options for these Ork lists that you'd rather do. So now we're going to go into, he goes, WAAAGH says, how long until they fix the Mega Knob gas truck wording? Right? Not sure. To me, it seems like GW just goes based off who reacts the hardest and they answer like that. The Ork community as a whole, I love the Ork community. I have a few other armies and respectable collections. And the Ork community is just built different. The kind of people you deal with, they're so diverse when it comes to creativity, yet everybody is still pretty rambunctious and kind of, that's the cool part. With that being said, we don't complain because we're Orks. Therefore, GW won't say anything unless other people complain about us, right? So it just comes down to that. And I think rules that are kind of like toxic or really unhealthy for the game that are calling games to end too soon or not be fully fulfilled are going to preemptively come out and be fixed first. There's so many rules to put on at once. I'd give it a month, maybe less. Like I said, it depends on you and how you like to play. I don't advise, me personally, if I play with my friends, I don't take advantage of rules that I think are loopholes. But if you're playing at your local meta and the other guys too, or they have a really strong army and you know their army is super strong, go ahead and use that. Use that rule because you have to kind of hang with someone who's too strong and you don't want them to have to pull back to be bored when they play either, right? So whatever, it's all by our discretion, but let's play this together and have fun, right? That's what matters. Is this takes so much time, hobby, money, and attention that when we do get at the table with someone else, we want that guy to be happy, you to be happy, and anybody else around you that's watching the side to be happy as well. So
yeah, it's good to be aware that it's a 2-person experience.
Yeah.
So we, both sides have to have fun.
Okay.
Should have fun.
Bam. And orcs always have fun because we never beaten.
Yeah.
So let's see tier real quick and throw these around. There's anything in there you don't like? I can say the hunter rig maybe can go a little higher. The looters can go up to the a little higher, and I'm not going to mess with them too much because ultimately those all suck. Def Dread's going to stay at number 1 though, with the Def War Track behind him, and the Def Copters. I think that's pretty. Maybe looters probably right at number 5 after looters are right here. I just want for number 5. And then we'll move up to BT. And remember, Chad, if you guys disagree or anybody in the comments after, let us know why. In another video, we can address your comment. We can talk about it directly. We could do more research. We could be wrong. All clans of orcs think a little differently, and we all strategize it differently. I know a lot of people that might disagree with me about the squig hog bombs, but the reason I'm not super into them is because a lot of these other units that you're going to come in and smash into are only AP1. So keep that in mind and don't dismiss us when we're talking about orcs as a whole yet. I'm considering the whole meta, I promise, as a whole. So when I'm considering what the strength is of these index units in here. So the B, this one is the one that has a lot of, is going to have contention, right? So don't hang me, but you can fight me for it. So I'm still going to keep the wall banner guy there. I think some really tricksy players are going to come up with ways to just keep perpetual momentum and take advantage of that. You're going to have another invuln, another attack, another strength, and they're going to appreciate that. So I'm going to leave him there. Let me look at the back of it. Do you think anything in the back should be higher up? I think bikers should be higher up. I think the track scrapjet should be maybe in the top 5. The scrapjet probably in the top 5 at least. But we had a good example of why, and we've seen it in our own personal games why that guy's just still freaking awesome. 2 multi-purpose. The mech can probably go a bit higher as well if we want to put him against the Morkanaut. I think Morkanaut should be the threshold of you're just having fun. Anything above him is like I can really consider him. So let's put the mech in front of that. I would take the shock attack gun and probably put him behind the Morkanaut. And put the bikes probably like a little ahead of the Morkanaut because you're going to see them on more lists than the Morkanaut for sure. Killican can go ahead of Mad Doc Rotsnick if we want to be exact. And the Squig Sergeant, we can go put him up in the front as well because we're going to see him on a lot of lists anyways. To start. The Killican, you can just leave him where he was actually because we're moving up guys behind him. The Squig Hall Rider's going to go up. The Sergeant. Yeah, in front of boys probably still because he's gonna be on more list than boys. He's gonna be on more list than Captain Badrock. He's gonna be above Captain Badrock too. And then Snigrat, leave him where he was probably. Oh yeah, you put him against some of those guys because he has a good fighting profile. The Storm Boys could be up higher because they could be utility for scoring. So let's not forget that as in the Storm Boys right here, right? So don't want them to be too far back. As a whole though, I'd say that's probably good for B tier. Of course, these are super margins of differences on what you're going to bring and what you're not going to bring. As for A tier, let's look at this. A tier is I would put knobs higher up, me personally, and the war boss higher up, like in the top 3. Me personally, right? I don't know. Maybe in number 4, put him behind the beast boss, maybe. And I think because overall on the list and everything, and Beast Boss might be a little more prevalent because Beast Snaggle Boys are going to be used as a whole. But I think one War Boss, are you going to disagree with me or no? About War Boss might be number 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just too valuable at his price point.
So is the other guy is too, but because you can put Beast War Boss with these knobs, and when you put him with these knobs, if you haven't heard already, the combo you get of each knob gets 3 attacks. You can get them with 10 models in that unit. Mega knobs have the same profile, but there's only 6 models in that unit, right, guys? Right? So you're not getting as many attacks as you're missing 4 more models. The War Boss being attached to that unit gives you 8 attacks during the WAAAGH. So you're looking at these high strength attacks with -2 AP because we really want that -2 AP, guys. Remember, Space Marines are going to have the Armor of Contempt. They're going to ignore your AP and your Squig Hog Riders with some of their 2-up armor save guys, or taking a bunch of 3-up saves could swing either way. If you played 8th edition, you know how 3-up saves go. Do not Forget how 3-up saves go. You played 8th edition, all right? I've seen a lot of people just quit games because they went against so much 3-up invulns that they just couldn't hang.
I'm guilty as charged of being that person that run all the 3-up invulns.
Space Wolves? No.
That's all we had back then.
Yeah, so you wish you had it now. So
Yes.
that's what I'm saying is like you want the mass volume. Even if you have to wound something on 5, you can't rely on Gaz, Mega Knobs doing everything. But these guys are a little cheaper package than Gaz is. And this Mega Knobs, even though they toss a little more, you put them in a truck, they move up the field, they get out, they charge. They're going to be subtract 1 to wound. So small arms fires are going to just pick them up. Right, someone has to actually commit to cleaning these guys up after, even though they most likely will be able to. But if they have to do it in combat, you can fight again. It's fighting in death, and then that's another ridiculous volume. Because remember, guys, you can't rely on the fact that Mega Knobs are coming in and hitting on 3s that they're going to solve your problem. Even though these guys are hitting on 3s too, that's where that mass volume comes into play, especially if they can be on the real peripherals of getting Gaz's ability as well from a 12-inch aura. So just know. We love volume. We love volume on this channel, but Orks as a whole love volume as a whole. That's how you get rid of a bunch of problems you're going to have, right? As for the way you move this list around, I'd say Beast Boss might be ahead of the mech guns, but other than that, that's good. Or how you have it is how I would probably agree. Maybe the Squig Hog Boy a little lower because I'd put Mazrog. When you start playing for Adwap, Skill Choppa and everything, they're only 10 points apart. So I would actually put them like right behind.
What about behind?
Right there. Probably right
utility.
there. Yeah, probably right there.
The commandos up. Burner Boys, 65
it's
points.
So close.
It's hard. They got to be a little higher.
Sorry, if you want to repeat that?
Clear. No, I like how we have A tier. So it's hard to really draw the line between utility and these characters, but I think we did a good job here.
Yep, and as for S tier, maybe Grots go a little higher. The Big Mac goes a little back. Trucks stay where they are. Mega Knobs, Gaz, Mazrog, maybe switch a little order, a little higher. Mazrog goes a little back, maybe. Oh, you like him there? You like Mazrog? I don't think he's gonna end up on every list, but he might. All this right here, I don't. You guys, at your discretion, of course, will be a little different because of our preferences. I think the Big Mac goes a little back. The truck goes a little forward. I don't know if truck goes all the way up there. Probably, yeah, keep him right there. But he is super prevalent. I mean, you can put him number 1 if you really wanted to make an argument as a joke. Big Mac goes a little back and Grots go a little up. You know, and I mean, remember when we started this conversation, you were like Grots number 1. Remember when you said that?
Yes, I did say
Are you gonna put them at number 1 again, like you were saying earlier?
Well, that was because they were so early on. We didn't have
because every
right
orc list has 30 Grots or at least 20.
Yeah.
I mean, you were arguing that, and at first you were joking, but I would put Grots every list. You're never gonna see an orc list with 0 Grots.
All right, how about this? You start every list with the 3 Squig Hogs.
Okay, you answer your question and then don't reach out. Don't reach out. I'm not wrong. WAAAGH said something. You make your answer, and I'm gonna tell you what WAAAGH said.
I'm gonna put these 2 top because this is how I start every list.
Number 1 or no?
1 and 2. No,
Ground
1 and 2.
Okay. WAAAGH says
110 points for what they do. Oh, give me more.
WAAAGH says Grot should be number 1.
Oh, let's go. It's WAAAGH.
Wait, Grot's starting. Grot's starting yelling Watt's good, but yeah. And then he goes, every list should have them and will. We want the CP. I need that for screening, all types of stuff. Keep them 1, I guess. So forget it. Aesthetically, that's gonna look crazy. I kind of still want to put Squig Hog Boys in front of them so that in the thumbnail people don't try to decapitate us. But I like that argument for that, and I'd like to see the comment section kind of try to say something about this after or anybody else involved. Right? It's hilarious. So Grot is the number 1 unit in the Orc Codex again. Make a callback to 8th edition when people would run like 100 when I ran like an army of 100 of them. So yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. You actually won a game that way too.
Yeah. My God, with Meg, that was tight. Not even spamming too many Meg guns. It was only like 3 because I only own about 6 or 3, something like that. All right, so this is our tier list. If anybody wants to argue it, we're probably going to wrap up here now. We're about an hour and 40 minutes into this. That's a good number. So if people want to watch back on it, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Give us any feedback as to our audio, as to our pacing. If you would like us to be more descript. I know that a lot of you guys are already aware of the data sheets. I just want us to get this conversation going and knowing if you really want more in depth talking about it, we're going to put on more videos that are more in depth and shorter cut, not such long forums. We're just trying to get more time behind the camera and really get better at this as a whole. So bear with us, and we really appreciate you. If you subscribe, we do regularly put out live feeds because we care about that. We want to have a community for people can regularly talk about Orks. That way it's a live community, constantly talking, updating with the rules. GW is now digital with their rules. So that's why I think live streams are really going to be important for the orc community and our community as a whole, so we can all talk constantly, right? I see all the Facebook groups are always talking, but when we talk to each other, someone can go back on that work and listen to us talk to each other and dispute points. So thank you, WAAAGH, and anybody else was here that was here today. You really did help with the chat, and it made things even more fun.
Yeah, we appreciate all your guys' contributions. Please bear with us. We just started, and we chose quite a week to start with all the rules coming out. So we've been hammering this out, and we're gonna work hard to improve our content, be more entertaining, and provide what the orc community needs.
We also have a lot of access to a lot of armies personally, and a lot of them are painted too. So we'll do battle reports later, and we'll have games actually prepped and ready. We live in a healthy community in the Midwest for competitive wargaming, so we have access to a lot of very good players and competitive matches. So this is going to become just an onslaught of orc content that's relative to either your own personal games at home with your friends, because that's how we like to play a lot, or if you want to be competitive and really just be hard knocks on the rest of the world. So we like that too, So we'll end it up today. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe because we would appreciate it and love it. And let's go. We got WAAAGH with one more comment. He goes, thumbs up. Just sub last night. I just re-rolled Orks this edition. I was a BT player in 9th. Oh, a Black Templars player? Okay. Hey, that's so respectable if you're going to play. That's funny because I have an Imperial Fist army fully painted and based, ready to go as well. So we're brothers to that extent when it comes to our alternative armies. Orks I've had since 8th edition. I love them since I started them. I have a huge orc collection, like 6,000 points already that are fully painted, which is pretty nice because I do like hordes and boys. I got 100 boys fully painted, 100. And orcs are fun. We just love them. They make games fun. Even if you have a hard time in the meta and the indexes change or the addition changes, it makes things hard for us because we have so many data sheets, because we like to play in so many diverse ways. We have our own place and way in this meta. I own Tyranids as well, and orcs are just different. I promise you, and you'll see it the longer this channel goes. So you guys have a good night. May the forces of the be with you. Peace.